Hi guys, so this is my third video on biblical black history. In Genesis 12, God chooses Abraham and lets him know, I'll make you a great nation, and through you shall all the nations of the earth be blessed. And in Exodus 19, God reiterates the same point to Moses, calling the Jews a priest nation, or a go-between nation, a conduit nation, through which the blessings of God will come to all the earth. This nation, this ethnos, is chosen for a specific purpose, a specific task. So every people group has got a specific mission to fulfill. In my next video, I'll be talking about the mission of the Cushite. When we think of military leaders and empire builders, we often focus on their might, their innovation, and the ambition. But what about the presence of God in their stories? Today, I will introduce to you three individuals, three black leaders from the Bible: Nimrod, Tarhakha, and Zerah. These men didn't just shape history through leadership and innovation. They also experienced the intervention of God in their rise and fall. Let's take a ride together as we dive in these stories.
Okay, so let's start with Nimrod, a name that's synonymous with power and empire building. We read about him in Genesis 10 verses 8 to 12, where he's described as the first mighty one on the earth. That's after the flood. It's also important for us to remember that Nimrod was the great-grandson of Noah and the son of Cush, referred to as the Black One. So Nimrod was black. This lineage connects him directly to Noah's blessing after the flood. Nimrod wasn't just a ruler, he was an innovator, a man of great leadership and military prowess. He built some of the world's first major cities: Babylon, Akkad, and Nineveh, centers of culture and influence that shaped the ancient world. But what's really fascinating about Nimrod is his physical strength and leadership. The Bible calls him a mighty hunter before the Lord. He wasn't just a king, he was a hero of sorts, something like a Superman, someone revered for his greatness. Extra biblical sources often paint Nimrod in a negative light, calling him rebellious or tyrannical. But if we look only at the biblical account, we see a man of extraordinary influence, a physical specimen, and a pioneer in human civilization. And then, of course, we come to the story of the Tower of Babel in Genesis 11. Nimrod's ambition led him to spearhead a project, a tower so tall it was meant to reach the heavens. It got the attention of God himself. This wasn't just any building project. It was a symbol of human achievement and unity. Yet it also represented a deep desire for control and centralization of power, perhaps even in defiance of God's will for humanity to spread across the earth. But here's what's interesting. The phrase "before the Lord" in the Bible catches our attention. Was Nimrod in rebellion against God, or was he acting in humility and dedication to something greater? Hubris or humility? That's for us to ponder. Whether he was defying God or merely pushing the limits of human potential. Nimrod's story leaves us wondering where the line is drawn between human innovation and divine sovereignty. I'll leave that question open for you to decide. Was Nimrod's ambition an act of rebellion, or was he striving for something noble before the Lord? It's also worth noting that in modern times, Nimrod's legacy has been unfairly diminished. The term a Nimrod has been twisted to describe someone foolish or useless, a stark contrast to the great leader and innovator the Bible depicts. This modern interpretation seeks to undermine the accomplishments of this great black man. So now let's talk about Tarhakha, the Cushite Pharaoh of Egypt, who ruled during the time when Egypt was a global superpower. We find his story in 2 Kings 19:9 and Isaiah 37:9. Tarhakha wasn't just any ruler. He was a powerful leader, prepared to stand against the might of Assyria to protect Judah, God's people. What is fascinating is that Egypt under Tarhakha was advanced in warfare and in technology. Nubia, that's where Tarhakha originated from, had mastered iron working and military strategy. He was ready to take on the Assyrians, a global superpower, much like the standoff between two modern-day superpowers, Russia and the Americas. But God intervened before the battle even took place. When the Assyrian army threatened Jerusalem, God sent an angel who wiped out 185,000 Assyrian soldiers. That's in 2 Kings 19 and 35. Tarhakha's willingness to fight is impressive, but God's intervention made the battle unnecessary.
Now let's move on to Zerah the Cushite, mentioned in 2 Chronicles 14, 9 to 15. Zerah was another powerful African leader, commanding an army of over 1 million men. An outstanding number considering that there was nowhere else in ancient history where an advancing army had such vastness recorded. This suggests that Zerah's forces were not only immense, but possibly unmatched in size during that era. While the biblical account focuses on Zerah's Cushite identity, it's highly likely he could have been a general of the Egyptian army or commanded an allied force from Cush, as Egypt and Cush had close ties throughout ancient history. What sets Zerah apart is that he wasn't just relying on manpower. His forces included 300 chariots, one of the most advanced pieces of military technology at that time. Chariots were like tanks or fighter jets of ancient warfare. They were providing speed, mobility, and strategic advantage on the battlefield. These powerful machines could turn the tide of a battle in a moment. And that gave Zerah's army an edge. But even with all this power and technology, Zerah couldn't defeat King Asa of Judah. Asa prayed to God for help, and God intervened, turning the battle in Asa's favor. Despite Zerah's overwhelming numbers and advanced technology, the victory didn't go to the army with a superior strength, but to the side with divine intervention. The defeat of such a mighty and seemingly invincible army serves as a profound reminder of the limitations of human power when it stands against God's will. What do these stories teach us? Nimrod, with all his innovation, had his empire scattered by God. Tarhakha was ready to protect God's people, but an angel of the Lord took out the Assyrian threat before he could even engage. Zerah, with his massive army and advanced technology, was defeated because God fought for Judah. These aren't just stories of human leadership and power. They're stories of how God's hand shapes history. So even as we look at the might and innovation of these black leaders in the Bible, we must also acknowledge God's presence, whether in humbling human ambition or in assisting battle. It's a reminder that while we may build and lead, God ultimately directs the course of history. Thanks for riding with me today. Until next week, see you soon.